So they have two lines waiting when we get in here.
Well, the line doesn't go out to the back.
So that one line right there is divided by this right here. And people are coming through to the other line. So while we're waiting for our truck to come to get us, another line is coming through.
Glasses wasn't here before.
Yep. Do not touch.
It makes sense for it to be here in the first place.
What?
Germs. I don't think they should remove it at all.
No, they shouldn't remove it. Cost
I mean,
money.
like, ever.
No. But before COVID there was no germ. People were hugging and kissing.
People sneezing and all that.
On strangers.
I hope they don't remove them at all.
I hope so too. What do you think, girls? Should they remove this after COVID?
Never.
No? Right, you are right, Hannah. That is not real. It looked real, right?
Para su seguridad, permanezcan sentados y mantengan las manos tras Gracias. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kilimanjaro Safari. Before you begin your trip, you should know that the vehicle and other point officer has
Right, go. You can go in front of Mama. Go.
and remember to watch your children. Your transport will be arriving shortly. Asante sana. Enjoy your adventure at Kilimanjaro Safari. Bienvenidos a Kilimanjaro Safari. Para su seguridad, permanezcan sentados y mantengan las manos tras sus pies y piernas dentro del vehículo. Cuida sus niños. Gracias.
Okay, so this divider is kind of small. Okay, here we go.
You want to sit on the outside, Mia, so you can see the stuff? I do like this.
Huh?
I like these partitions.
Yes, this partition
So
is
I don't have
nice.
to breathe on people.
Yep.
Whoa, look! All the animals.
All the animals that we're going to see today. Oh, that was fast.
Now, a couple of things before we start our adventure. First and foremost, make sure the water truck is moving. You are staying keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the truck at all times. Also, those beautiful face coverings that you have on, friends, please make sure that they stay on for me throughout our entire safari. That means covering both your mouth and your nose, as they are both part of your respiratory system. I'll keep mine on too. That's just out of safety and courtesy of each other, and of course the animals that we're going to see. Now, speaking of animals, if you take a look up above your heads, there's a spotting guide up there, and that'll help us point out some of the creatures that we'll hopefully get a chance to see out there on the reserve. Now, we probably won't be able to see every single animal due to migratory patterns, but normally I get pretty lucky, and I'm going to try my best to point out as many as possible. We're just waiting on this next truck in front of us, and then we'll be next to
Lion? They were sleeping the last time I was there. Maybe they were.
Now it does get a little bit bumpy out there, so make sure that any and all belongings that you have, you are holding on nice.
Mia, what do you want to see?
Which
Which animal you want to see?
So that includes hats, sunglasses, favorite children, eye motions. If you happen to drop anything overboard, just wave your hands around, shout it out to me. I'll let the word know and we'll figure out how we can retrieve it. behind the tree there. And the okapi is a super cool animal. We're really lucky to be able to see it because it was very rarely seen, actually kind of a recent discovery. The okapi was unknown to the Western world until the year 1901. They're very shy and reclusive. They were actually thought to be mythical creatures, kind of like a unicorn because of how weird they were. But over to our left this time, there are a couple of bongos sitting down up there on the hill. Looks like some are grazing too. But bongos, they're known as the ghosts of the forest. They're another animal that really likes to hide. Both the male and female bongos have horns, kind of tilted backwards and upwards. They'll use their horns to help navigate through the brush as they Oh, but making our way around a watering hole. In front, if you look just across the water, I already see a black rhino. And it's laying down and facing us. Let's see if we can get a good look. It kind of looks like a really smooth rock.
Okay.
Yeah, friends, to our left. You guys see it? Looking right at us. You see it? Yeah, now that's a black rhino over there, one of the smaller species. So that animal probably only weighs about 3,000 pounds. And it is all by itself. That makes sense because they're a solitary animal. So usually they are found. Unfortunately, rhinos are getting harder and harder to find. They're currently being poached for the horns that they have. Some cultures believe a rhino's horn to have medicinal purposes for us humans. But their horns are made of keratin. Same stuff that makes up our fingernails and hair. Real quick though, take a look to your right. You might be able to see the head of a couple of kudos. Kind of hanging out in the bushes. They're really tricky to spot and blend pretty well. Another antelope. But a little bit easier to see. Over to our left is a saddle-billed stork. The black and white bird kind of out in the distance, squatting down right now. Now the saddle-billed stork, with its legs and neck fully extended, it'll actually stand about 5 feet tall. Really big. But I don't think we'll be seeing too much else going on here in the forest, but that's alright, friends. We're gonna make our way out and over towards the sun. Now, rivers and other large bodies of water are really great places to find animals who spend a lot of time beneath the surface. So with your eyes looking down towards the water, really fine. Over to your left. Because I do see a whole bunch of hippos. And a group of hippos is called a bloat. So we're looking at what we call a bloat of Nile hippopotamus. Now they're actually larger than the black rhino that we just saw. These guys here can weigh up to 5,000 pounds. They're one of Africa's largest animals. They're a little bit more nocturnal, so during the day they'll be found in the water. They'll wait until they're hidden beneath the cover of darkness before they wander up onto land and go searching for food. And the white birds that are up on land, those are pigback pelicans. They are the largest species. Kind of like the saddle-billed stork that we saw, they have a really large wingspan, about 9 feet wide, which is roughly the size or width of the canopy that's above our heads on the truck. Oh, but some more watercolors to our left. There's a couple of Nile crocodiles. And you might even see one with its mouth wide. Yeah, it looks like it's showing off its teeth. Really cool to see. Now crocodiles, just like hippos, they're really good at staying warm. So during the day, they'll hang out in the water. And when they come in, on land, they'll actually use their mouths as a ventilation system. So just like that one was down there. When they get a little too warm, they open up their mouths nice and wide. That allows hot air to escape, and then cooler air can circulate back in, helping to lower the body temperature. As we come around the bend here, we're on the passenger side. I see a funky a baobab over there. The baobab should look familiar because it's also known as the tree of life. And we give it that name because of how much water it can hold. In its trunk, that tree can hold about 10,000 gallons, which comes in handy especially during periods of drought because animals can poke their roots into that tree, using it as an additional water source. We are officially making our way into the savannah or the grasslands. Mountains in a lot of Africa is really popular. I don't like those giraffes anyway. Now, along with those giraffes, elephants, lions, and cheetahs. This is also.
I see.
So we'll keep our eyes out and hopefully we'll get a chance to see them all. But those giraffes that are out to our right, they are Maasai giraffes. We'll get a little bit closer, so don't worry. But I want, actually, there's one crossing the road up ahead. We're kind of yeah, those are Maasai giraffes out there. We can tell because they're small. They have a really messy pattern. They kind of look like puzzle pieces that won't really fit together. Dog, a couple of them, laying down in the grass. Painted dogs, they get their names because they look like they could paint it. The colors on their clothes. They kind of look like the dogs that you would have at home. Don't let them fool you. They're one of Africa's most successful hunters. And it looks like they're eating from the trees. Eating is kind of what those giraffes do. But over to our left, friends, I do see a dazzle of zebras. And there's a couple of sable antelopes in the back as well. Sables are the symbol of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Because they'll actually fight back against predators. They stand up for themselves. But the zebras that are to our left, those are Hartman's mountain zebras. And they're actually really easy to identify. They have bright white bellies. They're the only zebras whose stripes do not continue all the way around. So next time you see a zebra with a white belly, now you know. It's a little zebra. But all those giraffes out to our right, like I said, they're eating from the tree. To our left. There's a couple of Patterson elands. And one has a whole bunch of bushes stuck in its horns. You guys see that? Yeah, no, that's actually a male eland, and he does that on purpose. That's how he displays his dominance. He'll take his horns, he'll dig them into the bushes, he'll twist his head around, and he basically makes himself a flower crown up there in his horns. And not only is that how he displays his dominance, but also how he attracts the ladies. But all those giraffes out there, once they start eating, they don't really stop. They spend about 20 hours every day dedicated to eating. I wish we could do that. But yeah, they have a 4-chamber stomach to help hold all of the food that they eat. Spending 20 hours eating, you might wonder, well, alright, when do they ever find time to sleep? Well, giraffes only need about 30 minutes of sleep per day.
Oh, wow.
Instead of taking one long nap, they'll take a whole bunch of short 5-minute naps. And they'll do it standing. There's another giraffe way up on the hill. To our left. Oh, there's two of them.
I'm sorry, another giraffe.
But over to our right, kind of laying down in the shade along the pathway, those are springboks out there. Really, really tiny antelopes. They only grow to be about 3 feet tall. However, they can spring about 13 feet into the air, so small but mighty. We're also looking at a herd of white-eared wildebeest. However, that's a pretty tiny herd. Because wildebeest, they can travel in groups of over 1 million at a single time. Sometimes their herds are so large that they're visible from outer space. They're the second largest grouping of mammals in the whole world, second tricky to spot. But on our left, so towards the front end of the truck, if you look just behind the bushes, oh, and yeah, walking around, those are mandrills. A little tricky to see from this angle, but mandrills, they're the largest species of monkey, and they're famous for the bright blue and red colors that they have on their faces and on their backsides.
Oh, there's an elephant right there.
But I do see something over to our right, a little easier to see. Hold on tight, friends, I'll get us a closer look. Over to our right, there's an elephant. We have the pathway there, and it looks like it might be all by itself. At least I have seen others, and that tells me that it's probably a male or a bull. And I say that because the male elephants, well, they tend to break or even get kicked out of their family friends around the age of 14. 14 is when they reach maturity. So from there, they'll stay traveling solo, or they could form a small bachelor herd if they get lonely. Footprints as well. Now elephants, they're going to take their ivory tusks, they'll dig them into that red clay, they break it off from the wall, and then they eat it. Which sounds kind of gross, right? Eating clay. But it's really beneficial to them. It's full of vitamins, minerals. Kind of works like an elephant's version of a Flintstone vitamin. It probably tastes just about the same.
Oh, there's a big elephant right there, baby.
Wow.
Oh, there's that.
If you keep your eyes over to the left, get another look.
You see it right here.
Now notice how all of the elephants are kind of flapping their ears around? Well, they do that to stay cool. So all of the animals, they have different ways of keeping cool. And elephants, they're going to use their ears. So as they wave them around, not only do they fan down their body because of how large they are, but they have a lot of blood vessels in them. So the cooler air that circulates around the outside inhibits some of those blood vessels. And that alone can lower their body temperature by about 15 degrees. Just a pretty drastic change. Oh, to our left, there's a little baby by the baobab tree. Yeah, so if you look over your left shoulder, there's one actually drinking some water there, and then there's a little baby way in the back. We'll get another look as we make our way around these flamingos. Yeah, much closer to us on our left, this is what we call a flamboyance. That's how we refer to a group. Now more specifically, those look to me like greater flamingos. They have the lightest pink, and they get their color from all the, Jumbo, good morning. They get their color from all the beta carotene that's in the shrimp that they eat. But let's see, that elephant, yeah, there it is, it's still drinking. There we go. It's a pretty cool picture for you. Yeah, now friends, elephants, they are huge. They're gonna eat lots of food, they're gonna drink lots of water every day. An elephant can drink enough water to completely fill a bathtub. Imagine that. But really close. These are white rhinos.
Close, they're like right by us.
Looks like they've definitely been rolling around. these ones weigh about 5,000 pounds each.
Oh my.
Really cool to see them so close. But yeah, no, for instance, those rhinos, you'll notice they're really close to the road. Well, they have really bad eyesight. They can only see clearly about 10 feet in front of them. So sometimes they're just walking around, grazing, and then they look up and they're right in front of a truck. They don't even realize it. Yeah. So really bad eyesight, and that's paired up with being able to run about 35 miles per hour. So as they kind of go running around together, well, they're probably going to go crashing into just about anything that's standing in their way. And a group of rhinos is actually called a crash. Oh yeah, look how close they are. Has anyone ever been that close to a rhino? No? Really? Yeah, it's a lot of fun, especially early in the morning. This is the best time, I think, to go on a safari because a lot of those animals are a lot more active. But also to our left, there are a couple of cheetahs. They're down right on the hillside there.
Man, cheetah on the hill. On the hill.
And they look like they're both watching something. Got their heads propped up. It's really funny. Sometimes when the rhinos are walking around over here, you'll see them watching. So yeah, cheetahs. Now, I'm not too surprised that they are awake because they're just like us. They're diurnal. So that means that cheetahs, they're awake during the day. Because again, just like us, that's when their eyesight's a lot better. But being like us, well, that makes them a lot different from most other big cats because they're kind of the opposite. But they're also different based on the noises that they make. So they're the only big cat that doesn't roar. Their vocal cords just aren't meant for it. So instead of roaring, they're gonna make high-pitched chirping noises, kind of like a bird.
I see a lion.
We're over to our left. Speaking of other big cats, there's a male lion. Lying down
Okay.
towards the front end of the dark. He looks comfy over there. Really cool. But he is sound asleep. And like I said, lions, cheetahs, they're pretty much the exact opposite. Lions are nocturnal.
Oh yeah, the girl.
Oh, wait, there's a girl over there. Yeah, now nocturnal means they're going to be the most active in the daytime, but I think this girl over here might be awake. There's two females. The one in the back is also looking down. Yeah, it looks like they're watching the Bontaboks that are out to our right. Bontaboks, they're related to the wildebeest that we saw a little bit earlier. But actually, no, I think she's sleepy over there. Those eyes are kind of closed. Yeah, we see you. Yeah, now the girls, they're actually the ones in charge. So in the nighttime, like I said, they're more active. It's also when they're going to do all of their hunting. And the females, well, they go out together as a group. They bring back all of the food for the entire pride. As the male, he's going to hang back and he'll stay and protect the rest of the family. But they can keep track of each other while they're out and about by using their roars. A lion's roar can be heard about 5 miles away. But whereas Simba is Swahili for lion, unfortunately Pumbaa does not mean warthog. But if you look to your left, I do see a couple of them. Now warthog or Pumbaa means foolish one. But warthogs are not foolish, they're very smart. Take a look at those tusks. The ones up on top, they're razor sharp. They'll use them for self-defense. They have much smaller ones on the bottom that are a little trickier to see. They'll use those to help dig. But to our right, I thought we looked at the Bontaboks and of course a couple of ostriches hanging out by their nest. Now ostriches, they are the world's tallest, fastest flightless bird. The first and last one. Wait. But anyways, friends, those ostriches over there, sorry if I keep you. But those ostriches, they were females. And I can tell because they had gray feathers. Whereas the males are actually post. Over here, now it is the warden's job to keep watch over all the animals, making sure that they are safe and protected. Now really, all of us can do our part to help make sure that the animals here on the reserve, and even locally at home, are safe and protected. And we can do that with something as easy as recycling. Now unfortunately, a lot of the animals that we saw out there on the reserve, they're very endangered, even not only poaching, but habitat loss, destructive deforestation. Now we can cut back on a lot of that, like I said, by simply recycling paper, plastic, and our old electronics. Now a lot of people don't realize that our cell phones and our computers, they have a metal in them called coltan that's being heavily mined in Africa, and animals like elephants, well, they're kind of running out of places to live. But it's really easy, Brett. Just recycle your old electronics. So every time you get a new one, make sure you return the old one. That way it's safely and properly recycled, and we can help keep those elephants safe. So while you're hanging out here at Animal Kingdom today, friends, please make use of the recycling bin next to your out front. It makes recycling so everything gets sorted in the right place. But we are making our way back towards Harambe Village. So friends, if you'd like to see a couple more animals, now that our journey is ending here on the reserve, you can head over to Gorilla Falls. It's going to be just up the pathway to your right. Gorilla Falls is about a 15 to 20 minute walking trail. There you'll see some familiar faces, but you'll make new friends as well. As you head through the research center, you may see some native mole rats, some meerkats, and of course gorillas. Okay, over Gorilla Falls is about falls. Just falls. And that's no fun at all. But we are just waiting on a couple more trucks in front of us, and then we'll be on our way. But if I have any wilderness explorers on board, the name of our truck is the Simba 1. So remember, Simba is Swahili for lion, and 1 English for one. And you can find that badge across from the entrance of the safari. If you make your way around Gorilla Falls, there's a whole bunch more badges there too. I do also want to say Asante Sana. That means thank you in Swahili. So Asante Sana, friends, thanks so much for joining me out there this morning. Once again, my name is Lexi. I had a lot of fun out on the reserve, and I hope you guys did as well. And I hope to see you again sometime soon. Because remember, no two safaris are ever quite the same. Those animals really will be with us on our